Welcome back. So, can trapped emotions, emotional baggage from the past be affecting us physically in our bodies now? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, I'm Ann Hession. I'm a medical intuitive and an energy healer, and today we're going to talk about how our emotions can physically manifest in our bodies and affect our health. All of the parts and systems of our bodies are susceptible to disease and dysfunction and injury, right? That's pretty obvious. But what's starting to become more and more recognized and clear to us is that emotional stress and imbalance, not just germs and toxins and injuries, can be the underlying causes of our health problems. We can't really separate our physical bodies from our emotional existence, as much as some of us try to do that at times. And as much as medical science has, more so in the past, had somewhat of a tendency to do. But even operating from completely inside the Western medical paradigm, there really is no escaping the fact that our nervous system, at least, is a constant, automatic, powerful network that's always directly connecting our emotional state to all of the organs and glands and tissues of our bodies. I mean, there just isn't any way around that. Author and educator Louise Hay was a pioneer in the work of connecting how our different emotions tend to connect with our physical bodies and how different ones tend to underlie different health concerns. People all over the world for decades have read her books and benefited enormously from what they've learned, and I do recommend her work very highly. I'm certainly not going to try to cover the vast amount of knowledge that she uncovered in this short video, but I will touch on some of it, and I do highly recommend reading her work. You can see a link to her website below, and her first book, Heal Your Body, is a great resource for you. Candace Pert, who's a cellular biologist, has also done a lot of fascinating research into how different emotions cause our bodies to release different neuropeptides and how these in turn affect our body cells and different body functions. And there's a link below to a talk by her that dives into that. So in this video, I'm going to just go over some of the more common ways that certain emotions tend to correlate with different physical health problems. And you can dive into some of Louise Hay's work to find out more. But I'm also going to get into more of what you can do about it and how you can use this knowledge, right? This knowledge of knowing that emotions affect our health to address and relieve health problems and promote better health overall. So some examples of connections between our emotions and our physical body are anger and its related palette, I'll say, of emotions like resentment, hatred, frustration, and so forth. They tend to be associated with the liver and the gallbladder, for example. Low back pain can be related to feeling unsupported or unstable. Kind of makes sense, right? Very often I find this correlates to financial stress and feeling helpless or unsupported or disempowered in regards to money. So someone experiences a financial blow and boom, back pain, or their back goes out. I've experienced that myself in my life. So shoulder pain often relates to feeling burdened, sometimes feeling guilty that you haven't fulfilled on your responsibilities, you haven't done enough. There's that sort of the weight of the world on your shoulders, right? Grief, sadness, rejection, blaming ourselves, these all tend to be related to both our lungs and also our colon, our large intestine. I find that addressing and releasing these emotions when they're trapped in our bodies can have a big impact on breathing, recurrent lung and bronchial infections, and also lower digestive tract problems like constipation or pain in that area. Anxiety, worry, feelings of helplessness usually correlate to the stomach itself, the organ of the stomach, and also the spleen, which controls a lot of very important immune functions. So these emotions can have a very negative effect on our immune system. Emotions of abandonment, betrayal, heartache, insecurity, for example, those tend to correlate to the heart and also to the small intestine. So when we have trapped emotional trauma from the past related to any of these emotions, it may contribute to heart problems and also to our digestion. So those are just a few examples of how our emotions can influence and interact with our physical bodies and our health. And maybe you saw something in one of those examples that you can relate to yourself. But let's talk now about what to do about it. So when a bacteria is causing the problem, we usually address the bacteria, right? And when a bone is broken, we reset the bone. When a muscle is tight or strained, we ice it or stretch it. But when an emotion is causing a problem, How does that work? And what do we do about it? So the first thing I want to say is that as human beings, we all feel the whole gamut of human emotions. And for any one of us to feel anger or feel grief or feel unsupported in the moment is not necessarily a cause for concern. And also starting to worry about every unpleasant emotion you're feeling and making that wrong and a big problem, that's not going to help either, right? So where negative emotions really cause problems is not when we feel them and we let ourselves feel them and then move on. It's when they get stuck or trapped in our bodies, when our bodies don't fully process through them in the moment. So instead of them just arising and then dissipating, as is the nature of emotions, instead they get trapped as emotional baggage that we're carrying around for years or decades in some cases. And that is what's causing the problem. The best explanation for this that I have yet to come across is that what people commonly talk about as emotional baggage takes the form of what are called trapped emotions, which are actually balls of energy that are resonating at the frequency of a particular emotion, like grief or anxiety or jealousy. They're about the size of an orange or grapefruit, maybe up to a cantaloupe, and they're located somewhere in your body or your energy field. To dig into this more deeply, I highly recommend the book The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, which will explain this concept in detail. And I really want to acknowledge Dr. Nelson for his really amazing work in this area. There is more than one way that we get these trapped emotions in our bodies in the first place. We can create them ourselves, and most commonly, we create them ourselves in a moment when we're feeling that emotion. But believe it or not, we can also absorb them sometimes from other people, and we can inherit them. Yes, we can actually inherit them from our parents, and I have known trapped emotions to go back 30 generations or more in a family. I'm not going to get into that in more detail here, but you may want to watch my What is Emotional Baggage video, as well as the How to Release Emotional Baggage videos to learn more about that. But by far, the most common source of trapped emotions are the ones we created ourselves. So you felt a certain emotion at some particular moment in your life, and for some reason you didn't handle it or process it fully at the time. Unconsciously you held on to it, and so it got trapped in your body, and it's still there, creating an imbalance that can cause problems in your life and in your health for years. So how do we clear these trapped emotions? Well, as an energy healer, what I do is I work with my clients to first identify which trapped emotions are underlying the health issue or the life issue that they want worked on. I already mentioned the book, The Emotion Code, and you can learn the basics of how to do this yourself from the Emotion Code book. And as a certified emotion code practitioner, that is the primary method that I use to identify these trapped emotional energies that are causing issues for my clients and to clear them. And once you have cleared a trapped emotion, that specific trapped emotion is gone for good. It does not come back. Now, the results in people's health can be extraordinary. I know a woman who had had fibromyalgia for over 12 years. She was in so much pain and she had tried everything she could find. And with just releasing a bunch of these trapped emotions, she became pain-free in a very short time. I worked with a 6-year-old boy who had severe digestive issues most of his life. And it was also accompanied by a lot of pretty difficult behavioral issues, pretty intense anger issues and impulse control. So we worked to release the trapped emotional energies that were affecting his digestion. And within a few sessions, not only did his digestion improve, but he started to be able to catch himself when he started to escalate and get angry, and he was able to stop himself on his own and walk away and calm down. It was amazing. I've worked with so many people dealing with back and neck pain, and so often the biggest underlying cause is these trapped emotional energies. I regularly find that someone has, for example, a misalignment in one of their neck vertebrae. It's causing neck pain and headaches, and when I find the trapped emotions that show up as the underlying causes of the misalignment, I clear them, and it's quite amazing. The person usually reports the pain goes away, their neck feels looser, and most of the time they just kind of move their head around a little very gently and pop, they hear a pop, and it seems their vertebrae has popped back into place because what was causing it to be out of alignment is gone. Now, I'm not talking about anything physical being done on my end, to be very clear. All of the energy healing I do is done remotely. I'm just on the phone with them. They may even be in another country. But the body wants to be in alignment. And the bottom line is that it will naturally return to alignment and balance when the imbalances that are causing the dysfunction are gone. So I see you stayed till the end of this video, and so probably a lot of what I was saying was resonating with you. and seeing how your emotions can be affecting your body. So I hope that was really helpful for you. And I look forward to talking with you about it more next time.